Yeah, good morning. Just wanted to share a couple things to y'all. Clarity, some perspective. You know, it's a lot of misinformation taking place. You know what I mean, and an appreciation of our American people. I just figured I would take some time to provide a little clarity and perspective on the organized confusion that has been invested in, orchestrated, sabotage. You know, the minds of our people. I just want to make sure this audio was good. Give me one moment. You know, I bet. Yeah, the audio is good. So let's go run an intro before we begin. There's a couple things I want to share. Let's go and get into it.
True culture. True experience. True issue. True news. True stories. Aboriginal American truths.
Okay, so there's a situation there. Let's go to pull this up real quick. I want y'all to see something. Many of y'all seen this movie, right? I'm trying to get this thing to show up here. Wow, there it go right there. Perfect. Yeah, you see, got the Django situation, right? Now you see in the picture, let's go to zoom in on it. Just want to show y'all a couple things. All right. Because I'm big on perspective, you know what I mean? We got the foreigner's perspective, of course, and naturally we have our own. You know what I'm saying? And our perspective needs to be very, very you know, in a greater position than the perspective of these foreigners. Now we see in this the Django picture here, right? We got the picture on the left. We got the image on the left of this house nigger, house Negro, right? I showed y'all in the Hidden Colors series that the Moors are the Negroes. Negro is synonymous with black. Okay. The Moors are originally from Africa. They went into Europe with the Romans back in the first, second century AD to colonize Europe. Okay. Many Moors, they stayed. All right. They were soldiers that stayed in Europe. Okay. You also had Moors, Africans that went over there to Asia and all of that. Right. If you look at the etymology of the word Moor, you will see that it blatantly says, especially Hindus. Okay. So Moors are pretty much a whole cocktail of people from these foreign regions of the world. Right. Now, let's bring it into perspective. Bring it into perspective here, right? As we see here on this picture, we got the house nigger who works quite well with this character who is playing the role of a slave master, a plantation owner. A plantation owner during these colonial periods was a equivalent. He was the equivalent, or she was the equivalent of the CEO of a corporation, right? It's the equivalent. It's a business. These slaves, they were contracted labor. The contracts, they varied, of course. There was different types of slavery. Slavery wasn't just one specific like situation. It varied for people. You had debt slaves, you had contracted slaves, what they would call an indentured servant. All right. You had people that were prisoners of war. Okay. So the reason why I'm sharing this now is I saw this video in my feed this morning, right? And so here we have this Fly Nubian Queen TV, right? And they're saying how Joe Biden dumps reparations in favor of immigration. So I'm just going to play how this woman begins speaking. All right. I'm not going to play the whole video. She's speaking for over an hour. Feel free to look up flynubianqueentv.com if you're interested in the subject matter. Let me just go to play.
Hotel. Namaste. Free the land, beloved. Come on in, come on in, come on in. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm a very proud contributor right here on flynubianqueentv.com, the network for melanated people just like you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our broadcast. Today, we are so very pleased you have joined us. As you come in, a little bit of housekeeping before we get ready to start our most important war briefing.
Hey, I'm going to pause it right there. So she begins using, for the lack of a better term to describe it, she's using this pro-Black, this Pan-African vernacular, okay? She's speaking this Black, what I consider hypnosis keyword language, all right? She's directing her communications to specific demographics or segments of this population here in North America / the United States corporation, right? So she's saying Hotep, Shalom, and some Mayat, whatever, right? Now, these are all foreign languages here. This is not from America. As I mentioned a moment ago, Moor is synonymous with Negro. Negro, defined from Spanish to English, is Black. Okay, so a Moor is Black. This is all Pan-African language here. All right. And so what she's speaking in regards to is how Joe Biden dumps reparations in favor of immigration. I'm not going to play what she said because she speaks in a whole lot of rhetoric. But if you were paused it a moment ago, she said a war briefing. Okay. I want y'all to keep that in mind. This is the organized confusion. She said the key word of war briefing. But let's go ahead and continue though, right? So in regards to Joe Biden dumping reparations in favor of immigration, well, who benefits from that? Now, this is on the joebiden.com website. This is joebiden.com/immigration. Okay. Now, it says here, unless your ancestors were native to these shores or forcibly enslaved and brought here as part of our original sin as a nation. I want you to listen to that, right? Unless your ancestors were native. So let's go ahead and change that language real quick, right? Unless your ancestors were Aboriginal, indigenous of the original nations of this land, the Americas, particularly North America, right? Because this is where the 13 colonies The shores that he's referencing are the shores of the 13 colonies. Okay. Now I'm gonna get into some other historical um elements as this presentation continues, right? And once again, this is for clarity and perspective as we're dealing with an abundance of organized confusion, right? So, unless your ancestors were Aboriginal, Indigenous, autochthonous nations to these shores, okay, because there was many of them, right? Or forcibly enslaved, and brought here as part of our original sin as a nation. That's very interesting language for them to use. We're going to discuss that in a moment. Most Americans, remember, yeah, we have the 1828 definition of America, which pertains to the Aboriginal people, right? America does not come from an Amerigo Vespucci. It does not come from a a foreigner. No, America comes from America. There is a mountain range in Peru where it's of the Linca nation of Peru. It's of their language. These people, they come from the land, hence the name American, America, etc., comes from the land itself. All right. So most Americans, they're saying here, but let's just say most foreigners can trace their history, their family history, back to a choice to leave behind everything that was familiar in search of some new opportunities, and a new life. That's not an accurate statement here. Most foreigners can trace their family history back to a choice to leave behind everything that was familiar in search of new opportunities and a new life. That is not a complete statement there. All right. We're going to discuss that in a moment as well. Joe Biden, it continues, understands that that is an irrefutable source of our strength. Generations of immigrants have come to this country with little more than the clothes on their backs, the hope in their heart, and a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. Claim their own piece of the American dream. A desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. Okay. It's the reason we have constantly been able to renew ourselves, to grow better and stronger as a nation, and to meet new challenges. Immigration is essential to who we are as a nation, our core values, and our aspirations for our future. Under a Biden administration, we will never turn our backs on who we are or that which makes us uniquely and proudly American. The United States deserves an immigration policy that reflects our highest values as a nation. All right. United States is a corporation. So as we're looking at this, where it's saying here, to grow better and stronger as a corporation, okay? When they're speaking this language here, replace nation with corporation, because that's what it is. Corporations become stronger through immigration. The people, I'm just going to use this example, the people who work for these corporations, well, they experience a lot of turmoil due to these new hires, if you will, right? Experience turmoil due to this. I want to show y'all something also, right? I'm gonna go ahead and send this email over to myself so that I can show you some legal definitions, right? We have the legal definitions for master and servant, right? Much appreciation to Historil for providing this. He sourced this great information. So I'm just going to go ahead and share it over real quick so that you can see with clarity what's going on here. Okay. Give me one moment. Listen, I'm gonna try to keep this video brief today, but it's vital that we have clarity and clear perspective as we proceed at all times. Because as you see within this Joe Biden website here, right? As you see, they got a lot of confused language here. Some may consider it to be politically correct. How can something be correct if it's wrong? Bottom line. All right. I'm just gonna pull up this count real quick. One moment. Hold up. Just want to show y'all some legal definitions real quick. One moment here. Let's go back to this real quick. Let's do this. Got some comments over here. Yeah, Sammy Nasak, I do want to listen and watch, but my internet is slow from Canada. Yeah, you can play the video back at your convenience, You definitely play the video back at your convenience. Give me one moment while I pull up this email. Having a little technical difficulty right now. Showing me all my other accounts other than the one I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm normally organized when I do these presentations, but it slipped my mind that this was of importance. I didn't realize that it was going to lead into this particular subject matter that I'm about to show you right now. But this is very important. You can find this information in the Barron's Law Dictionary. Okay. Barron's Law Dictionary. I'm about to show you in one moment here. Yeah, they said their email is slow. My email, my internet is slow. Here we go. So I'm just going to download all these images so I can pull them up with ease. We'll try to see something very key here within the legal definition of employee, master, and servant. Okay. And once again, much appreciation to the History Reel for sharing this information. All right. So I'm gonna zoom in right there. Let's go and get back to this. Let me put the screen share back on. Ah, interesting. Okay, very good. All right, so now we're looking at master and slave. This is from Barron's Law Dictionary, okay? Says here, master and slave, an employer dash, meaning going to employee relationship. So the employer is the master, the employee is the servant, okay? An employer-employee relationship, the relation that develops from an express or implied employment contract between a master or employer and a servant or employee. The servant is expected to perform services usually for a salary and is under the master's control, while servant sometimes refers specifically to hired help in domestic matters. In its broadest sense, the term refers to a person of any rank or position who is subject to the control of another. Such a relationship is distinguished from that of an independent contractor who is not under the employer's direct control but serves the employer only as to the results of his work and not as to the method by which the work is done. Okay. Continuing. Essentially, the power to control is the test in determining whether a master and a servant relationship exists. The engagement of a lawyer does not create a master and servant relationship. Under the master and servant relationship, the master will be liable for the actions of his servant committed while the servant was acting within the scope of his employment. All right. So now, in regards to what Joe Biden is saying here, right? The corporation deserves an immigration policy. So the United States corporation deserves an immigration policy that reflects our highest values as a corporation. Well, basically, they want new servants. And, the people in which they will be bringing in from these foreign regions, right? These immigrants, well, they're great servants. The other day, we discussed the fire at the vaccine manufacturing factory over there in Hindustan, what is commercially known as India, right? Well, if you look at the economic climate of Hindustan, Bharat, aka India, you will see that the people there are being paid very low wages. There was another incident that took place in December where you had these Hindustan people, right? They destroyed an Apple manufacturing factory. They destroyed it due to the abuse in which they experienced, lack of wages, etc. So anyway, when we consider how we have these foreign immigrants who, once again, let's see here, a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. Well, what exactly is this American dream here? I mean, because myself as an American, and when I speak to my American people, and I speak to descendants of foreigners that immigrated here, that were brought here, that were shipped here, transported here centuries ago, when I speak to various people that have been in this land for quite some time now, right? A lot of people, they're experiencing some forms of struggle, right? Especially since this manufactured COVID event took place, right? Specifically, our American people, you know, we have experienced all forms of corruption. Now, I want to take you somewhere real quick, right? This from the second edition of the implications, ramifications of artificial black identity, right? This is page 211 here. Okay. Now, this is in the second section where it says crimes of the transported convicts slash slaves sent to the Americas. Murder, a serious crime but not unpardonable, is a good example of how elastic this category can be. In the bailiff's notebook cited below, 11 men were guilty of murder, yet their sentences varied wildly. 6 were sentenced to life in Angola. Okay, so this is a reference to Britain. All right. In summary, throughout Europe, they were transporting their criminals to the Americas. Okay. Those criminals were sent to the Americas, to the colonies, right? They were sent to other colonies as well. Angola, okay, that's over there in Africa. So we're talking about people being transported as slaves from Europe to Africa, from Europe to the Americas. This is what was taking place in truth of real history, okay? Criminals, people that were the bottom of society, people that were destitute, They were shipped here. So when we look at a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream, well, as an American, right, being aware of the experiences of my ancestors, what about our American dream? This COVID-19 situation is not of my American dream. Population control, the reduction of quality of life, the manipulation of everything natural. That's not of my American dream, right? Forcibly enslaved and brought here as part of our original sin as a corporation, because the 13 colonies, right, were all penal colonies. Penal colonies that began, or that was originally companies. As I mentioned previously, you have Virginia Company, the Plymouth Company, Massachusetts Company, Rhode Island Company, etc. You had many companies. You can look this up. Georgia Company. You had the Tennessee Company. Series of companies. And they had penal codes, because these were penal colonies. We're talking about colonization here. So when you see the word immigration, right? Every time you see immigration, keep in mind colonization, all right? Because in regards to original sin as a nation, well, original sin as a corporation was being involved in a contract with Spain called the Asiento. Okay, I believe I showed y'all that previously also, right? But let's keep this in mind here. Crimes of transported convicts / slaves into the Americas. Okay, continuing. I'm gonna show you the Spanish Asiento in a moment. Convicts as military reinforcements and convicts as settlers. Settlers, pardon me. Okay. Basically, this is what actually took place in the Americas, right? In my book, we list the type of transportation offenses, because during what they call the Elizabethan period, we're talking about the 1600s, right? Forward, you had the Elizabethan Transportation Acts, the Tudor laws, Transportation Acts, and I want you to keep something in mind here, right? You had various breeds of people from Europe that were transported to the Americas, right? You had Moors that were criminals that were being shipped to the Americas. And when I say Moors, I just don't want you to have in your mind the image of a quote unquote melanated person. Remember, the Moors, when they was in Europe, right? And this is, in my opinion, why throughout Europe, these Caucasian people, they have a vendetta. Like, they despise these Moors due to the centuries of them mixing with their populations. You had many different peoples throughout Europe prior to the Roman invasion in the 1st and 2nd century AD. As I mentioned previously, the Romans, they had these Africans as soldiers. A part of the Roman strategy of war, basically they killed everybody, and who's ever able body as a child, they would enslave them. They would enslave the females as well as the children. They would select who would basically be useful. And so from these children, many of them would become soldiers. You have what they call slave soldiers, as we just read a moment ago, convict labor. Convicts were in the military. Okay. Imagine that. Militarized convicts. Imagine that. These are the type of crimes here: breaking peace, coin offenses, damage to property, deception and fraud, infanticide, manslaughter, murder, perverting justice, receiving stolen goods, royal offenses, sexual offenses, theft, animals, burglary, embezzlement, extortion, game law offenses, grand larceny, housebreaking, petty larceny, petite larceny, pocket picking, receiving, shoplifting, violent highway robbery, returning from transportation. And they had various occupations for them, right? You also had during this period criminals transporting criminals. I'm not going to get into that right now. But we're talking about real life pirates, real life criminals, okay? I want to find this particular page here. All right. See if I can locate it quickly. So I'm going to show you the Spanish Asiento. Because basically what took place, right? What Spain did was they contracted with all these foreign nations, right? Who then subcontracted. They then subcontracted with companies that they chartered. Various companies such as the Virginia Company, you know, Dutch, they had the Dutch West India and East India Company and etc., right? Where is it? I cannot locate it right now. All right. Whatever the case may be, right? I've showed in the previous presentation, or we can show it again. But anyway, original sin as a corporation. What? What was the original sin? Was it colonization? Bringing criminals? I'm talking about thoroughbred, thoroughly trained criminals, including cannibals. We cannot negate the fact that they brought cannibals here. To this day, due to the conditions in many of these foreign regions of these foreigners' world, they engage in cannibalism to this day. There is video footage available right now of current generations and recent past generations where they engage in cannibalism, all right? Due to the disparity, the level of misery, the famine, etc. And we're talking about countries that are wealthy, generally speaking. But these people come from systems of abuse and corruption, right? And so having a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream at our expense. You know, I said it the other day, we have unresolved issues here. People want to talk about the division. Well, there's a division between truth and lies, right? There is a division between truth and lies. There's division between the abused and the abuser. Whereas there's an entire system, a foreign system that has been brought to the Americas by foreigners who immigrated to the Americas, right? Who brought their system of abuse here. We just read the various types of transportation offenses. These were in the Tudor laws. Any of these crimes would be punishable by death, right? Or be transported to one of the royal colonies. And these companies, these various companies, they were the ones who were hired to do the actual transportation, you know, have these people chained up if they was chained up, because not everyone was chained up brought over here, right? Not everyone was chained up. There's a book titled Journey to Pennsylvania, the year 1750, right? I shared this in previous presentations, where these people were not in chains, but these people were being robbed on these boats, these ships coming from Germany, right? This is in 1750. Of course, this had been going on longer than 1750, but you had people that were being robbed on these boats. They couldn't pay to leave the boat once they arrived to Philadelphia, right? Once they arrived to Pennsylvania to the shores. And so, since they couldn't pay to leave to get off the boat, they had to sell their daughters and sons, their wives, into slavery. That's debt slavery. So, in regards to forcibly enslaved and brought here as part of our original sin as a corporation, well, which corporation? Because when we have these people talking about reparations being dumped in favor of immigration slash colonization, right? Well, reparations, how they describe it, meaning, you know, compensation for someone's ancestors being enslaved. Well, the situation is a lot of these foreigners, as we know, were slaves. They were brought here as slaves. Okay. And those slaves, they did have masters. They had employers. There was a contractual relationship. For example, when you have a slave, or pardon me, you have a person, a free person who came here of their free will in some instances, right? As I was describing about, or describing from Journey to Pennsylvania, year 1750, you have a husband with his wife and their daughters and sons, right? They're coming from wherever in Europe, and they got robbed by some other Europeans. The name they called them was man thieves. Man thieves, okay? This husband, due to him not being able, since he got robbed and he's not able to pay to get off this boat, right? He sells his people into slavery. That is a contract. It is a contract. So, in regards to reparations, um, do those people, are they entitled to reparations? I mean, this is a very broad and very detailed subject here. And this is why we encourage genealogy. Knowing what happened to your people. Some people don't want to know. Some people will begin and they will see that, oh, the history is too gruesome. It's horrible. It's a whole horror story for some people. Many foreigners, they came here under horrible conditions, as they are right now. But who's responsible for that? America's not responsible. America is the land. America's not the United States Corporation. No, these are two different things here. One's natural, one's unnatural. A corporation is an artificial person. Okay? So the question is, once again, why would Joe Biden, because he's the name, but he's not the organization. He's not the group. He's just the speaker and the signer. He's the puppet, if you will, right? It's not Joe Biden dumping reparations in favor of immigration. No. Once again, this is for clarity and perspective in regards to the organized and orchestrated confusion out here. There are organizations slash corporations that are invested in this, have been long invested in this. The Asiento dates back to the 1500s. There were past Asientos. Asiento, translated from Spanish to English, simply means contract. It simply means contract. It's a Spanish contract. Why was Spain able to engage in these contracts? Because in the 1400s, you had the first Spanish Pope, who's known as Pope Alexander IV. His Spanish name was Ferdinand Borgia. Okay, you had the Borgia popes. Spain was the military arm of Europe. They had a lot of military strength in the 15th century. What we see take place during this period, following the signing of the Encyclica, a papal bull, which came as a result of the doctrine of discovery, one, Encyclica blatantly permitting Spain to colonize the Americas, the conquest of undiscovered lands. And they sent Moors over here who were slaves, because for the longest time, the Spanish was at war with the Moors. Fast forward now, 1600, we have a situation with the Queen of Britain, Elizabeth. I showed y'all she had an agreement with King Al-Mansur of Morocco to go to war with Spain to take the Spanish colonies in America from Spain, right? The King of Morocco, as I showed you on a previous text, he blatantly said his intent was to populate the Americas with Moors. So when we see these fly Nubian queens, right, saying things like Hotep Shalom and Namaste and all of these strange words, right, with these strange meanings and what have you, right, all of it being foreign. When we hear these people saying these things, right, for me, I ask myself, what are they really saying here? What are they really doing here? What are they supporting here? What are they investing in? Because they're upset. I'm putting it like this, right? Let's say this woman here, let's say this the people behind Fly Nubian Queen TV, let's say these are descendants of Moors. Let's just say that, right? Let's say they are descendants of Africans that was shipped to the Americas from Europe, right? They would want reparations. But due to their ignorance, they're unaware of the fact that, oh, well, their ancestors had a contractual arrangement with whoever transported them here, right? Because once again, we're talking about contracts. These are old contracts that these foreigners engaged in. I mean, let's take a look at Biden's words again, right? Generations of immigrants have come to this country with little more than the clothes on their backs, the hope in their heart, and a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. Now, keep that in mind. And now let's look at this master-servant situation here. While servant sometimes refers specifically to hired help in domestic matters, the term refers to a person of any rank or position who is subject to the control of another, okay? Now, the relation that develops from an express or implied employment contract between a master or employer and a servant or employee. This is what this is about here. This is what it's about. These Moors are being replaced. They want reparations, but their ancestors had an agreement. They had a contract. I showed y'all you have the situation where you have these Moors that were buying their freedom. Foreigners was able to buy their freedom. Convicts had to serve X amount of time labor. Then they would be given whatever at the end of their term. You had children convicts and you had adult convicts. A child convict would, let's say they were 5 years old. Well, they would serve, they would be in servitude, they'll be a servant, they'll be a slave until, let's say, they was 18, 21 years old, right? We saw in the story about the guy, John Merritt, who was born a slave. His mother was a slave. Therefore, he inherited the condition of his mother as a slave, right? Because in law, it says the child shall inherit the condition of his mother, okay? He was able to purchase his slavery at the age of 13. Pardon me. He was able to purchase his freedom, what they call manumission, at the age of 13. Then he contracted himself to the George Whitefield, Reverend George Whitefield, where now he's being instructed in how to be an Christian evangelist. A Christian evangelist, so a slave turned preacher. John Merritt, he became a celebrity evangelist, preacher of Christianity due to his service, converting Indians, American Indians, into Christians. Once an Indian is no longer an Indian, through the de-Indianization scheme and process, they become a Negro. Just like when the Moors in Europe were converted into Christianity, they became Moriscos. The females became Moriscas. Okay? We got to be very, very clear what's being communicated. Got to be very clear. See, we have some comments here. No, y'all see you. How you doing? Much appreciation. Yeah, Big Freeze. I see you. How you doing? Santi, how you doing? Much appreciation. So yeah, this is what's going on here. We have a situation where this foreign education system has shapeshifted, rewritten, re-scripted, what they call revisionist history. In recent terms, alternative facts, alternative truth, right? They have given that to youth throughout these generations, right? Whereas fast forward today, where we see something like this on the JoeBiden.com website, right? It's scripted in a manner where it's like, oh, wow, that sounds great. Yeah. A desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. Yeah, yeah. Whoa, the American dream is exploitation. People come here to exploit the land, exploit our people, our resources, and exclude us from the profits. Due to the foreign education, indoctrination schemes, and etc., right? we are excluded from knowing particular truths. We was excluded from particular truths. As I go through all this old history, following asking questions of how did we get here? How did things reach this point, right? What the fuck happened? Right? That's how it began. You wake up in the morning, you look outside and shit. I grew up in inner cities and all of that, hearing sirens and fighting and it's conflict every day, every day, every day, every day, right? And like, damn, like you have a moment to like, just really look at the situation. And you're like, how did we get here? In your youth, you ask the elders, how did this happen? You hear different things from the elders, right? Nobody really knows. Those that do know, they're not telling because they're profiting. You profit from this. This is the exploitation. This is the corruption. This is the abuse. We have terms such as economic oppression, terms such as financial oppression, right? Well, check it. Well, we go back in time just a little bit because, 400 years is not that long ago. 500 years is not that long ago. It's really not. It's really not that long ago. But when we look back, right, at these Virginia companies that had royal charters, and the Virginia company had these ships that were transporting various goods, various properties, cargo, including people. They were bringing foreigners in, and they was taking enemies out. Pardon me, taking Indians out. Pardon me. They didn't tell our people, right? And we go through grade school and all of that, when we're being indoctrinated and all that, they wasn't telling us that, oh yeah, we was enslaving Indians throughout the 1800s as well. Yeah, 1800s. No, all the Indians didn't die. No, we did not kill off all the Indians. We were still at war with the Indians in the 1800s. Yes, we were. Indians were going to court in the 1800s. Yes, they were. They were going to court suing us, such as the case of Worcester versus state of Georgia, right? I would encourage people to look that up. I will be, I'm waiting to get everybody's schedule together because we're going to be having some very in-depth discussions about particular historical events. But when you look at this Worcester versus state of Georgia situation, it's like, God damn. But my point is this. There has been investments in all these corporations, all these companies / corporations that were chartered by these foreign nations. I like how you said that, Eugenie Nikolov. Natives and Indians built America. So when you say native, are you saying native in regards to foreigners that were born in America by its legal definition, and Indians in regards to the indigenous, aboriginal, natural inhabitants of America? Are you saying that? I'm just asking for clarity here, right? Because the situation is this: a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. And why should we give reparations to people that we have no longer have use for? Because that's the situation with these Moors. They lost their usefulness, right? They were used in the initial points of colonization. They was used in these recent generations. to sabotage the mind of our American people. Okay, Eugenie Nikolov, yes, like original black people who lived here in mansions and were wiped out. Yeah, I hate the term black, but I understand what you're saying. They weren't wiped out though. The people were not wiped out. There was certainly a lot of conflict, certainly a lot of deaths, um, a lot of you know, for the lack of a better word, turmoil since colonization began. Absolutely. Oh, you're fine, Eugene. No need to be sorry. I mean, it's just clarity. They built the dams, bridges, cities. I preach. Yo, I would definitely like to chop it up with you if you want to send an email. You can send it to the simplest one is the letter A, the number 4, the word pure at gmail.com. That's the most simplest email I could give you. I'm gonna try to put in the chat right now. Yeah, I'm not sure where you're from, but it sounds like based on your name, it sounds I want to say Russian, Ukrainian, maybe somewhere Eastern Europe. But yeah, the 1800s was a mess. The 1700s was 1600s was a mess. The 1500s was a mess. Shit, in 2020, right now, this is a mess. It's a whole mess right now. Imagine a difference though, right? Back in these days before the internet, right? When people was transporting communications by horseback, you actually had people. You had people that were running like cross long distances with messages, with letters, right? We're talking about super snail mail, all right? Versus communication taking place as we're doing it right now, where I'm able to communicate something in a nanosecond, gone. The manipulation of the flow of information, right? This contributes to that mess, especially when we have people that are manipulating truth. They're presenting lies as truth. Now I'm gonna look into the Michelle Gibson you're referring to, and yeah, 300 years to cover everything up. Yeah, unfortunately, they've documented everything. Everything's been documented, but in my opinion, due to this heavy hypnosis that has been invested in, through media, advertising, and et cetera, right? Marketing strategies and schemes, the encouragement for everyone to be consumers instead of producers and all of that, right? Well, people are too occupied. They're preoccupied with not looking for the truth. I can't even. I hear what you said about people asleep. Um, I would say that they're like in a cryostasis. Like you have people that are stuck in time, like they're stuck. You know, they're they're constantly having to adapt to conditions in which they haven't even taken a moment to define what the actual conditions are, right? They're trying to make sense of things if they even attempt to. Oh, Bulgaria. Ah, very good. You're from Chicago, born in Bulgaria. Ah, yeah, I would definitely like to speak with you. I'm also in Illinois. So yeah, feel free to send an email to a4pure@gmail.com. And I would like to discuss some things with you. I appreciate perspective. You know what I'm saying? I like sharing of information. You know, awareness is very important. You know what I mean? So this is the situation here. I mean, when these people talk about this 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 reparations, it's disgusting to me because it's like, do you know what you're communicating there? Dude, these people don't even know what they're co-signing. And when we really look at the fact that these Moors who agreed, the Transportation Act was an agreement. It was agreement. Either we're going to publicly execute you, right? Because this is the Transportation Acts. When you really look at these Transportation Acts, under penalty of death, either you leave or you stay and you die. These were gruesome times in these regions of the world. I showed y'all a moment ago. These were criminals. These were convicts. This was an entire strategy scheme to overwhelm our ancestors. You know, I'm looking forward to having some great people on where we can discuss, you know, current events that no one's talking about, right? Because there's some serious foreign criminal activities taking place right now that's impacting and devastating our communities. But we think about what Donald Trump has done within his 4 years, right? Just a situation dealing with the human trafficking, the child slave trafficking, etc., right? When we see a number like 12,000 arrested, X amount of thousands rescued. I mean, this is a criminal enterprise here. There's over 12,000 people that have been engaged in this quote unquote profession because these are professional kidnappers. I can show you in text that was published in 1700, such as this text, Journey to Pennsylvania, year 1750, where the author literally describes these people as man thieves, right? These are kidnappers. These are professional kidnappers. My ancestors, relatives of mine were kidnapped back in the 17 going into the 1800s. They were kidnapped and sold as slaves. Now, in situations like that, right, when you can prove kidnapping, when you can actually prove these criminal activities that impacted your people, then something like a reparations would make sense. But just a broad umbrella of quote unquote reparations, absolutely not. It doesn't make sense, especially when we're able to simply prove that there was a contract. Once again, refer back to this text here. Master and servant and employer-employee relationship, the relation that develops from an express or implied employment contract between a master or employer and a servant or employee. All right? The information's available. You can get this book right here, Barron's Law Dictionary. You can get this on archive.org. Set up a free account on archive.org and run a search for Barron's Law Dictionary. They have multiple editions of it. And what I did is I had to borrow it. They allow you for some text on archive.org, they allow you to borrow it. Other text you can download for free, right? They have it in various formats for download. But this particular book, I had to borrow it for an hour, right? And I simply took screenshots of the pages. And once again, much appreciation to History Reel for posting this definition here. We have to be aware of the language that's being used. You know, our elders, I remember in my youth, right? I was staying with my grandmother at the time, right? I was like was like a summer I was visiting, and I wanted to get a job, right? I'm like, yo, I want to get a job, make some money, what have you, right? And so she's like, oh yeah, to get a job, you gotta sell yourself. I'm like, what? I ain't selling myself. But this is the mind. This is the indoctrination of just my people. This is my grandmother here. She has it in her mind from her generation, from her experiences, right? To say, if you want to get a job, sell yourself. She didn't mention the fact that, oh, you could be an independent contractor. What type of contract work would you like to do? This is how you gain that contract. If you see a position available at a company, at a corporation, right? Well, that means that that's a contract available. That's just one type of contract. With these corporations, there's many types of contracts. But you don't have to sell yourself as a servant slash slave. No, you don't. But that's what's encouraged. This is why I encourage awareness, defining of everything, defining these terms so that we can have a better experience for ourselves. There are benefits in being an independent contractor versus being an employee slash servant. It's a different set of benefits. It's a different set of policies and regulations and etc. It's different. Some people like to be servants. I showed y'all the text about the African, former President James Buchanan's text in 1824. He blatantly says the African is docile, submissive. Therefore, he is preserved. The North American Indian, on the contrary, prefers death and banishment to slavery. The situation is this. They transported Africans from Europe to America, these Moors, and they sought to position themselves as the master. Just as we see them today, to this day, right now. We saw when Biden, he leaned on them, those civil rights leaders, quote unquote civil rights leaders, right? He leaned on them. I ain't doing nothing for y'all. I'm the president-elect. I ain't doing nothing for y'all. Yo, he said y'all Moors' time is up. We got to read between the lines out here. He said y'all days is up. Yo, we got a whole strategy, a whole scheme that has advanced thanks to your service of reducing the intelligence of these American Indian people. You have told these American Indians that they're Negroes, that they're black. You've had these American Negroes losing their minds in the streets in support of this quote unquote Black Lives Matter. But once again, whoa, let me show you something here. This is Chief Osceola here, right? He says here, and once again, much appreciation to History for sharing this, all right? He shared this quote here. I had the picture, but putting pictures with the words, that's a beautiful thing, right? Chief Osceola is quoted as saying, "Am I a Negro, a slave? I am an Indian. The white man shall not make me black. I will make the white man red with blood and then blacken him in the sun and rain, where the wolf shall smell his bones and the vulture live upon his flesh." This is quoted in Harper's Weekly, June 12th, 1858. It's 1858. The Indians were not killed off. We can prove this easily. But what has happened here is we've had a lot of John Merritts and Prince Halls running around. And people that want to be a Prince Hall and a John Merritt, preaching ignorance, seeking the further exploitation of our American people, seeking to make our American people a Negro, a slave, a servant of some foreign employer. Meanwhile, this is the position they once had. This is just a depiction here, right? Of these actors. These actors, they're accompanied by actresses, right? And behind the scenes, this is what they were doing. Are they doing it now? Because it appears they're being replaced right now. They serve their purpose. So with this clarity and this perspective, which I'm sharing in this presentation this morning, right? It is vital, in my opinion, that we know who is no longer present. We got to know who is currently present. At the same time, those that were previously in these positions of quote unquote influence, right? That were engaged in various abuses, criminal abuses, such as embezzling of funds, right? Various abuses that they have engaged in to the communities in which they claim to be in service of. They claim to be in service of these communities. I mean, I just want y'all to think about something, right? You know, we've had this BLM situation last year where they're like, yeah, defund the police. We'll check it. They want to say something else about the lesser two evils between a Trump and a Biden, right? Well, check it out though, right? Let's talk about the communities. What are the lesser of two evils in a community? What's the lesser two evils? Well, there's just perspective there. You have law enforcement, right? They swore oath to protect, serve, defend the community or what have you, right? Certainly there's abuses. Certainly there's corruption. But what about these organizations, these Black organizations that have been present longer than these new officers, these new law enforcement officers, right? See, I'm the type person, right? I will ask, like, yo, what are you aware of? I will ask law enforcement, what do you think about this organization over here? Oh man, only if you knew. They say things like, only if you knew. I don't deal with them. I don't like them. When you engage these officers privately, right? Because when they're on the clock with the badge, they got the policies. Remember, they are servants. Okay? And their master has them regulated, right? But when we look at the status of the communities, right? And these people that have been engaged in all the corruption, they get away with it. For decades, they get away with it. Everybody knows except for the people in the community. The people that are being exploited, the people that are experiencing all these illegal activities, watching certain individuals and groups profit from the exploitation and corruption, etc., right? Yo, these are the people who have been rendered helpless in regards to law and the enforcement of law. They're told, the people in these communities are generally told, oh, get an attorney. You get an attorney for those that can afford an attorney, right? Because there's no public defender for combating corruption. I would love to see one of those. I would love to see a public defender be like, yes, I will take on your case to you know, deal with the abuses from these different parties. I would love to. I will help your cause. I would love to see a public defender. I mean, damn, by definition, wouldn't that be a public defender? Defending the interests of the public? I mean, if the public is against abuse and corruption, right? For example, once again, let's take it back. We saw within the past 4 years of Trump over 12,000 arrests of human traffickers. Over 12,000. X amount of million, pardon me, X amount of thousands, I'm imagining, have been rescued from these traffickers. Brandon Rogers, I see you. How you doing? I would love to see a public defender that has experience in both defense and prosecution, right? Assist the community with that form of justice to get those reparations. What's up with those reparations? That's what I want to know. What's good with those reparations? Since all these people want to talk about reparations, what about all these abused people throughout all of these abused communities? See, myself and some of the good people that I work with, we've taken the time to study law, share information, learn things about emotional distress, which is a tort claim, learn things about what you call vicarious liability, misprision of felony. We've taken the time to purchase law books, old law books, such as American Jurisprudence, one of the people's. He got his hands on a collection. We assist people for free, giving them the information they need so that they can be in their own public defense. Because, like I said, I would love to see a public defender. I would love to see a public defender for these communities. That all of these people, they are fully aware. They're fully aware of the abuses that's going on throughout all these communities. They're fully aware. I mean, in my private conversations with my peoples and all of that, I'm like, damn. So what, all of this is driven by money? Like, you gotta, they want money out of this in order for them to be of service to the people. They want money. They want a lot of money. They want the bag. Really? I'm like, damn. But hold on. When we know law, right, and we know that claims can be filed, right? There's something called damages, right? When there's something called damages, and damages, they multiply. Pain and suffering damages. You got compensatory, you got punitive, got a series of damage types, right? These public defenders, well, they're trained in law, right? Wouldn't they be aware that, hey, they can get a nice bag just for being of service to the community? That bag, in a form of damages, well, that's reparations. That's your goddamn reparations right motherfucking there. See, they promoted reparations, right? Like I said, this is about clarity and perspective here. When you experience abuse, right, you're able to prove that abuse, right? You begin documenting an affidavit, recording an affidavit. Some places, a notary only costs $5. Other places, like in LA, it costs $10 to $15 for a notary, right? An affidavit is your statement of truth and fact, right? So you were a victim of some form of abuse, corruption, what have you. You are aware of the embezzling of funds from a community, and so you file an affidavit. Cool. That's step one. Step two is preparing your actual claim. That requires awareness of legal procedure. There's different procedure for different courts. The information is free for the different types of courts. These public defenders should be aware of this, right? I mean, in regards to the bag, what bigger bag? How much bigger would the bag be if you were to support, if you was defend an entire community that has been experiencing decades, generations of abuse and corruption? I mean, after all, the whole community knows who the abusers are, who the corrupt are, right? The entire community knows. They know who the executives are, who the workers are. Once again, vicarious liability. Vicarious liability. That means the employee who committed the offense, right? Whatever violation, they're liable as well as their employer. Let's go back over here to this master and servant situation, right? Under the master and servant relationship, the master will be liable for the actions of his servant committed while the servant was acting within the scope of his employment. That's vicarious liability. But why aren't our American people that are and have been experiencing abuses through corruption and all forms of violations of law, how come they're not being informed about this? One, two, how come those that are aware of this sit back and do nothing? So in regards to reparations and immigration and all of this, I mean, we have some serious choices to make out here. Serious choices to make out here. A choice and a decision. Well, you have informed choices, you have informed decisions. What I encourage is for the people to inform each other. That's what I do these videos for. Information sharing, encouragement, awareness. So much to be aware of. All these foreign contractors, the rappers, the actors and actresses and etc., the twerkers and all of that we see being broadcasted throughout foreign owned and controlled media, right? What are they doing for us? What are they doing? They're not going to tell us this. They're just playing their part. They're staying in their lane, right? We the people, what's our lane? To be entertained. Our lane is to be entertained, according to them staying in their lane, right? Their lane is to entertain. You have entertain and then you have entrain. When you look at the word entrain, well, that deals with hypnosis. All right? To entrain. To entertain. You have someone's attention occupied. Their senses, their eyes, their ears, their emotions. But meanwhile, hold on. Last year, we had how many youth? I'm talking about infants, toddlers, 5-year-olds on up to 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds didn't make it to C18, didn't have the opportunity to learn anything. That's serious. The economic oppression, the financial oppression, these are unresolved issues. Immigration slash colonization for a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. Once again, in regards to the American dream as Americans, I'm just saying, colonization and immigration is not of the dream. We have unresolved issues here. See, it would be one thing if it was like this, right? You know, where it's like, okay, this is America. The United States corporation is the trustee, you know, they are the managers of various commercial activities and all of that. Okay, that's fine. And all these immigrants that are coming here, right? Well, wouldn't it be nice to have an agreement with them? Like, okay, if you come here in your pursuit of our dream, well, let's go with the dream where you're from. I mean, let's just look at the dynamics of this. What does it look like where you're from? Because over here, this is where you wanna be, right? You want to be here. The air quality is better, although it's being compromised. Soil quality better, although it's being compromised. Food abundant, although it's also being compromised. A lot of great people, although they're being compromised. But in comparison, what about where you're from? I mean, it should be fair exchange, no robbery, right? What about where you're from? In many of these places, woo, air quality, horrible. Food quality, no food. Soil quality, horrible. People quality, horrible. Beneath compromise. Here, things is being compromised, right? Over there, such as in places like Hindustan, oh shit, man. I spoke to a guy last year. He's from outside of Chennai, over there in Hindustan, right? Yo, he's telling me, man, you know, he was a law student, right? He told me they are backed up just in his region of Hindustan, just in his region alone, they are backed up 5 years in criminal prosecutions. You know what that means, right? They have wild rapists and murderers running around. Wild. I mean, wild. Yo, there's videos you can pull up. There's this website. You know what? I'm just going to do it. Hopefully, I don't get my channel flagged for this, right? Because of the graphic nature, right? But I'm gonna go ahead and do it though. I'm gonna show y'all something here. Let me show y'all something. Give me one moment here. Yo, this shit's fucked up. This shit is ugly. Give me one moment while I locate this. It's a website called hoodsite.com, right? Uh-oh. What in the world? Oh, look like they might have taken Hoodsite down. What in the world? Oh. Put sights down. Okay, I got another one. Give me one moment here. Like I'm showing. I just want to show this briefly, right? Yo, is my internet working? What's going on? Yeah, my internet's working. Wow, for some reason these websites are not coming up right now. Okay, so this is not the time for me to show it to you. What I'll do then is I'll go ahead and download some of this footage from Hindustan and other regions of the world because we need to be aware of what these corporations intend on bringing here, the type of people, what their experiences are, right? I mean, just like I showed y'all earlier, the type of criminals that were slaves that were dumped on our ancestors, right? Well, it hasn't stopped. Our ancestors didn't have full disclosure. And as descendants, we're still not receiving full disclosure about who and what is being brought here. Who is responsible for the abuses that's taking place in our communities? I mean, in these countries, they actually have belief systems for pedophilia. I showed y'all in the presentation a few days ago, right? The last one I did, right? Where you got this Devadasi situation. That's what I'll do right now. That's what I'll do right now. I'll show y'all these Devadasis again. Because no one is informing us of what's going on here. No one's informing us. All right. Let me try to locate. Let me see. Okay, here it is. We got one right here. This from a website here called IndianFolk.com. All right. Y'all know how I'm against people from Hindustan being called Indians. I'm against that. That region of the world is called Hindustan, Bharat, and they have other names as well. But anyway, looky here. The Devadasi system, a tradition India, quote unquote India, Hindustan regrets. Now, in my book, I define India as being an American woman, India being an American man. All right. This is what the initial Spanish explorers, if you will, the priests, the Jesuit priests, this is what they described our American people as being. Miss D, I see you. Love this conversation, all the information you are sharing. Keep up the good researching. Your Derica Eugenie girlfriend. Oh, well, appreciate your presence. I'm glad you enjoyed the information. So, in my book, there's something called Piazza de India. Piazza de India. That means pieces of Indians. Pieces of Indians. Piazza de India. Pieces of Indians. And this is a term that was used to describe the enslavement of American Indian people. Pieces of India. They viewed our people as pieces of America, the continent. This is dynamics of language. Language is very, very important. Piazzas de India, pieces of India, once again, India being a reference to an American Indian woman, but the entire continent of America, Piazza, pieces of the people of the land, right? Anyway, The Devadasi system, Hindustan regrets it. Look, a Devadasi or Deva, a Dr, as she is known in the southern states, is essentially a woman who was considered as a servant to the goddess. A servant to the goddess, okay? These Devadasis are married to a temple before they even hit puberty. Hold on, let me spark my tobacco real quick because we about to get into some shit. And like I said, I'm sharing this for clarity, for perspective, because what this Biden administration, this corporation, as we've been discussing, uh, this is what's being imported here. Okay. Ah, man. Oh, let me spark this up real quick. Got my tea. Now we about to get to some shit real quick. And I don't know why I always say I intend these presentations to be short and they end up getting long, but you know, we need to be aware of some things out here. These Devadasis are married to a temple before they even hit puberty. That is at the age of 10 or 12. And they remain loyal to the goddess that they worship for the rest of their lives. They do not get married again or commit themselves to one man or one relationship. However, in the past couple of years, they have been treated as sex workers and are prone to social exploitation. Okay, so I got a question here, right? So we have this Kamala Harris. Okay. This is where her people come from. Her mother and her father come from this region of the world, Hindustan. Okay. Where they have a system for females, and we're also going to see that there are boys as well included in this. Okay. These are their own youth in this region are slaves of temples. They're sold. Their mothers and fathers sell their own daughters and sons to these temples where they become prostitutes. We're talking about a culture, customs, a history, a heritage, traditions of pedophilia here. So I ask, from this region of the world, who exactly are they bringing here in pursuit of what? In pursuit of what? A desire to claim their own piece of the American dream when there's an article, you can look this up, over there in California. You had a couple, husband and wife, both from Hindustan, both professionals, they're doctors, and they were convicted of having someone from their country working as a slave. Let me see if I can locate that article real quick. Because, you know, they're not going to broadcast this on the news and all of that, right? They're not going to share this information. They're not going to show this to us. Okay, here we go. Got one right here. Got a couple articles, matter of fact. This is just from last year, matter of fact. I got to email it over to myself real quick. Give me one moment here. Matter of fact, hold on. It'll be quicker if I just do this. Give me one sec while I stop the screen share. just want to show y'all something. Because this is what's being brought to America as in the past. All right. And there's many of these cases. So what we're going to do here, we're going to show how this is both international as well as national here, all right? Let me get the screen share back up. Here we go. One moment here. On the application window. Yep, here we go. All right. So, Ravenhawk, I see you. How you doing? All right. California, a couple charged for enslaving Indian immigrant. A couple was charged with human trafficking after officials say they imprisoned an Indian immigrant. These are the names here. Amarjeet. Hold on, let me run that back. Let me run that back real quick. Hold on. This is moving a little fast here. Yep, here we go. We have, yo, come on, this thing is bugging. I pause it and it keeps going. Pause, thank you. Amarjeet and Ball Winder man locked the man in the liquor store and forced him to work 15-hour unpaid shifts 7 days a week, it says. Let's continue. The man came to the United States from quote unquote India, Hindustan, in 2019. He reportedly slept in a storage room and bathed in a mop sink. They have a picture here. He bathed in a mop sink. He bathed in a filthy sink, a sink that was for the cleaning of mops of the store's floor, right? He bathed in filth. Okay, let's continue. They're saying slavery officially was abolished in 1865, says the district attorney, Jeff Rosen. But hold on here, I got a question, right? So you have this Kamala Harris character, right? She was a prosecutor, the top cop of California. I mean, but damn, why aren't you the top cop of the country where you come from? Why not the top cop there? Because there's a lot of criminal activity going on amongst your own people, right? We don't need you in America engaging in corruption, the false imprisonment, conviction, prosecution for marijuana charges. Many of them were. I mean, you can pull up these articles, simply run a search for Indian couple slavery, right? See, I ran a search right here. Indian couple convicted of slavery, right? This here is Ithaca News. Indian couple charged with modern day slavery here. This is about the same people. They were 66 years old. They threatened the victim with deportation if he told the truth to law enforcement. You can run searches on YouTube and you will find videos of how these people are treated. They take their passports. They threaten them. They beat them. They do a whole lot of horrible things to people from their own countries. What do you think they intend for our American people, given the opportunity? Once again, this is just clarity and perspective, right? The victim here, right? Since this couple, the man's face charges of labor, human trafficking, witness intimidation, and wage theft involving a total of 4 victims. Well, they would be entitled to what is that, reparations, right? By legal definition of reparations, right? Now look, continuing, according to the prosecution, the man's engaged in predatory recruitment of their workers from quote unquote India, Hindustan, and lured them with the promises of travel and financial independence. Now hold on, let's take another look at what Biden says here on the website, right? A desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. So who exactly? Travel, the American dream for foreigners, right? For immigrants, it's travel and financial independence, right? Is that it? Yeah, that's tempting, isn't it? That's tempting. Like, wow, travel, financial independence. Yo, absolutely. Who wouldn't want that? The independence to travel freely and be able to do it financially. I mean, God, yeah, that's a hell of a sales tactic, right? And then for the reality set in, labor, human trafficking. They're 66 years old, engaged in this. Now let's go to another one. Couple's downfall is culminating in sentencing in Long Island slavery case. Now this is a little small here, so let me zoom in. Let's zoom in on it. Here we go. Uh-oh, too big. Too big. All right, that should be good there. Look at them. You have Varsha Sabnani left and her husband, Mahinder, after their arrest in May 2007. So now, this is the question that I have for you all, right? We got a 2007 arrest here, and then we have this is a 2020 article here. 2007 to 2020. That should tell us that these people are communicating to each other how to get away with these type of corrupt and abusive activities, right? Once again, this is a culture. These are customs, these are traditions. All right. 2 of their servants testified about being starved and beaten in a couple's home in Muttontown, New York. Yo, Zoe, how you doing? I see you. Appreciate your presence. This happened in Muttontown, New York. Look, with their courtship complete and their arranged marriage only a few weeks old, they still do arranged marriages over there. They set out for New York from Hindustan in 1981, leaving behind their wealthy families and households with living servants. By American standards, they did not have much money, but they started a perfume company and embarked on a typical ex-urban migration from Queens to Hicksville to Muttontown. Then the article cuts off because they want to charge, but it's all good though. I will encourage you to look into this. Make yourselves aware. The foreigners not telling us what they're doing. We got to inform ourselves. All right. So that's that article. Let's find another one here. Look at this. Quote unquote Indian. These Hindustans, right? Hindu origin couple arrested in England on modern day slavery charges. This is from November 2018 here. An Indian origin couple Hindu origin couple from southern England have been arrested on modern day slavery charges after they were accused of keeping a Polish builder in their garden shed for 4 years. Oh, you see this? They kept a Polish builder in their garden shed for 4 years. Paul and Paul Binning, both in their mid-50s, were arrested by the UK's Gangmasters and Labor Abuse Authority earlier this week after a raid on their home in Chilworth, near Southampton on southern coast of England. GLAA officers said they acted after a frail Polish man told staff at a walk-in healthcare center in Southampton that he had been forced to work in exchange for food. Forced to work in exchange for food. Let's continue. The Binnings have since been under investigation pending further inquiries, right? GLAA, the workers' watchdog, said its officers also searched the property and seized evidence which may prove critical to the investigation. Following the 2 arrests we made, our investigation is ongoing as we examine and assess the evidence we collected from the property. Yo, come on, man. I mean, yo. An investigation. Yo, somebody come to tell you a frail man, woman, child, whatever, if a frail person come and tell you that they're being held, they're being forced to work in exchange for food. Okay, so you look at them like, oh shit, like seriously? The fuck? Like, yo, you look fucked up, homie. Yo, how can I help you? Like, hold on, man, you need some food. Like, yo, hold on, you're in a medical facility and shit. You need treatment. We're gonna get you treatment. Okay. The investigation, first of all, take his goddamn statement, find out where he been, and then go there. Cool, they gathered evidence. But yo, this goddamn arrest should have took place immediately, though. I don't know. I don't understand the inquiry. But look, okay, look at this here. The potential victim, look at this. They're saying the potential victim told officers that he had been sleeping on a plastic sun lounger deck chair in the shed at the bottom of the garden and was given out of date food to eat. He also said he had no flushing toilet and that his kitchen was a fridge and barbecue. The man, aged in his 40s, has been taken into the UK government's national referral mechanism, a process for ensuring victims of modern day slavery and human trafficking are given help and support. They got a whole goddamn department. Yo, and hold on. Last year we had BLM talking about defund the police. Hold up. Yo, these are active. These foreigners believe in this shit right here. This is customary for these people. Should our American communities not be aware of who's being brought here? I mean, this is what it is, right? See, I've been aware of this for some time, right? When I was out there in LA and shit, right? I've been across the country and I've seen, but I'm just referencing LA right now because I've been across the country and I've seen some strange and suspicious things. Before I got to LA, I never had a chance to really, process what I was seeing, right? But let me tell you, when we see workers in these stores looking fucked up, yo, naturally, we should inquire. Like, yo, how are you? Are you okay? See, a lot of people have been conditioned via media to be very insensitive, what they call desensitized and all that. Thing is, we have responsibility to our communities. The community is composed of the people within it, right? So if there's a store that is owned by foreigners and you see workers in there handling the products in which you're going to purchase from these stores, right? And they look unhealthy. Remember, they're handling products that serve your community, right? Um, Me personally, I don't like filthy people handling anything that I am purchasing, my food, anything. I don't be like, the universe and this, that, and other. No, I deal with energy. I assess energy. Bad energy circulates, just like good energy circulates. I mean, we have people embedded in our communities that we know nothing about. We don't know their experiences. We don't know their beliefs, their values. We don't know anything. We got a situation where, oh, you're from Hindustan. You do yoga. No, everybody from Hindustan does not do yoga. And then on top of that, if you look up the founder of this quote unquote yoga system, right? He was a whole rapist and murderer himself. I can't remember the dude's name. He got a crazy name. But you can look him up. Look up the founder of yoga. A whole criminal. Okay? Let's go to another one. Indian origin couple allegedly kept man as slave for 4 years in UK. The same article here. This is from the Hindustan Times, though. As you see, they themselves know Hindustan. Clarity and perspective here. Yo, we got to know what we're talking about. We got to know what they're talking about. Their country is Hindustan, not India. But anyway, let's get back to these Devadasis, though, because I want to show y'all something here. All right. So, the process of dedicating a Devadasi to the goddess involves a traditional ceremony and is performed before the girl hits puberty. After the ritual, she is considered married to the deity and is not allowed to marry a mortal for the rest of her life. The goddess is known by several names, including Yalama and Uligama. The story of the Yalama goddess is long and convoluted, yet surreal. The whole ordeal began when Yalama's son was ordered to chop her head off by her husband. This is what these people believe in, yo. This goddess, her son was ordered, the son was ordered to chop off the head of the mother by the husband after he caught her spying on two people getting frisky by a lake. So, what it sounds like interpreting this story here, right? So, this husband caught his wife spying, what they call it, voyeurism or something, caught his wife observing people engaged in intimacy, sexual activity by the lake. So he was like, cut her head off, son. After a complex process of death and reincarnation, the goddess Yalama was born. Yo, so hold on. Over there, if we interpret the story accurately, right? Over there, it's permitted for a husband to cut off, to behead his wife. For what type of offense is that? I mean, what type of offense is that? I'm just asking. Is there any comments in here? I would like to know your thoughts on that. Like that's outrageous, right? So anyway, let's continue. It is it is said that the concept of Devadasi came into the picture during the time of the great Gautama Buddha, when a particular king summoned M. Rapali and assigned her to a particular temple. The tradition of the Devadasi culture can be traced back to the 6th century AD, the period when a lot of kingdoms flourished in Hindustan. During the times of the Chola Empire, these Devadasis were treated with immense respect and had a very high social status. They would receive appreciation or compensation for performing in the king's court by way of gold, silver, or land. The Devadasis had certain duties and responsibilities that they had to perform for the temple. They also traveled with the king, contrary to the wives, implying that the Devadasis had more rights or authority than those of the king's wives. Currently, however, there are children as young as 6 years of age who get trapped in the Devadasi culture. These girls have no choice in the matter since they are not educated enough to fight the rigid system. Chris Carter, how you doing? According to the legend, the goddess Yalama fled to the villages of Karnataka and subsequently became a symbol of worship for the lower Hindu caste. The lower Hindu caste, that means that these people in a in the lowest of society, right? You know, basically these poor people, let's call them poor people, that have been designated by the elites, they worship Yalama. Okay. Now, oh man, yeah, I've read over this so many times, and this is a filthy story here, very filthy. Every year, an older Devadasi woman acts as a medium between a deity, Yalama, and her worshippers during a session at the Yalama Jatre in Sandati, Hindustan. The Jogadi, the elderly woman, enters a trance-like state, and the devotees watch in awe as the deity Yalama begins to speak through her. Okay. The medium cries out, shakes uncontrollably, and often collapses at the end of the session. This provides the worshippers with direct contact with the deity, and the woman is duly compensated. These mediums are central to perpetuating the rituals of Yalama and recruiting new young Devadasi girls. Perpetuating the rituals of Yalama and recruiting new young Devadasi girls. Now let's get into the filth of all of this, though. It says here in the beginning, being a Devadasi had nothing to do with prostitution. But as we saw, basically, these were concubines originally. You've all heard the story of quote unquote King Solomon, how he had 500 wives and like 1,000 concubines, right? So basically, you've also heard the story of how the Moors had harems. These were, let's say, royal brothels, royal whorehouses, okay? Where these slave, these slaves, these were just all sex slaves, bottom line. They were playthings for these elites, all right? Coming from whatever reaches of society, because like we just read here, there was ritual and the recruiting of new young girls. This is a system here, old system. It just said 6th century. Look, a girl child in our society is treated more as a liability in the sense that there is always the burden of marriage. Families feel that they don't need to educate the girl child. They always prefer a male child because they believe that they are the liberators of their soul when they die. This is their belief system here. When this comes to the poor families, if they get a female child, they think about how they can convert this liability into an asset. The system of ritual prostitution is one of the coping strategies that is adopted, where they feel that dedicating their child to the goddess is acceptable, post which the girl child will be taken over by one of the landlords. The landlord assures some kind of regular income to the family. This religious ritual has now just become a medium or a mere justification for poor families to pimp out their daughters. Poorer families pimping out their daughters in Hindustan. This is a system here of pedophilia. They know about it. They know about it throughout that country, throughout this region of the world. They know about this. Like it said, 6th century AD. Since 6th century AD. Let me see if there's any comments. I bet. These are entire systems of slavery. Entire systems of this. Well financed. I mean, this is free labor. This is free labor. You're paying people with a shed. You're paying people with a shed, right? And give them a shed so they can sleep in. And you give them outdated, you give them spoiled food to eat in exchange for their labor. And this is how these people acquire their wealth. This is one form. Apparently, child sex trafficking is big business. I mean, big business. Last year, a whole lot of information came out on this subject. Thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in some instances for children. Very gruesome subject matter. And this was just dealing with here in North America. We're talking about the entire Americas where this criminal activity, this abusive system is active, that has been active in these foreign regions of the world for centuries, over 1,000 years. Yeah, so I see you. They asked Pan to marry into American lineage, 10 to 20K. Or hey Zoe, would you like to jump on? Cause yo, I just want to have a conversation, man. I don't know if you're available. Let me turn this off real quick. 1 second here. I mean, we need to be aware of all of this. And yes, Miss D, yes, it's so bad. The Hollywood, yep, for sure, has a huge hand in. Absolutely, absolutely. I lived in LA for some years, and um, I you could see different things going on, right? You could see it. Situation is this though. Um, you had to be in those networks to really know what's going on, right? And absolutely, I heard stories about what they call the casting couch. Okay. And you have mothers and fathers that would take their daughters and sons to be casted for various roles and all of that, right? And they would literally let these producers or these agents have their way with their daughters and sons. Yeah, so I just sent you the link. And see what this goes into to me, right, is where you have this economic oppression and financial oppression. People, they do things for the dollar or for whatever currency. Over there in Hindustan, they got rupees, right? They got rupees and all of that. Yeah, so I just text you the link and all of that. But yeah, they got rupees over there. And apparently, since this COVID-19 situation done hit, the GDP of Hindustan, aka India, has dropped. A lot of world economies have been devastated. Yeah, Zoe, how you doing?
Peace. Yeah. Was good, brother.
Oh man, just clarity and perspective, man. Organized confusion out here, and just offering some clarity for the mind of the people, because apparently they got a wicked scheme coming. It did them came, but I'm saying this is getting crazy, man.
I you know what? And when you was breaking that down and reading that whole part, what was marinating inside of my soul to tell my brain, it was like, yo, y'all gotta pay attention to these fools' migration game. They screwed so much stuff up with this migration game.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, see what I've come across in my research, right? You had different points of entry that were strategically established, right? So basically, Central South America, including the Caribbean, right, where they had these before it was like haciendas and encamidas, right? These plantations in these places, right? These were basically the conditioning locations, right? Before transporting these people to North America for more work, more labor, more servitude,
contract work.
Yeah, they was contracting people out, and it's still happening to this day. I posted on the Average American Truths Instagram and Facebook. There's recent video of a caravan. They call them caravans now, and I say recent because these caravans, they occur regularly, apparently, right? I've been seeing them for years. But anyway, you have mass foreign migration from Central America going through Mexico with the objective of these migrants coming to here, North America, right?
Right.
And the situation is this. It is not limited to people of Hispanic origin. No, you have Africans within this caravan. You have Asians within this caravan. You have Arabs, Hindustan people, etc. within this caravan. Mongols, of course. And so now the situation is this, right? We look at this Kamala Harris situation, right? So before her people came to North America, where were they located? Jamaica.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah. And so from Jamaica, the Caribbean, they migrated finally to North America.
That's true.
And so these are things people need to be aware of. Yeah, what you said?
I was going to say a lot of our people got to realize that the the invasion ports was heavily influenced on the islands, and that's where a lot of the shit really was taking place first before it came inland. Before it even went up to the top of East Coast and Maine and all that shit. Invasions up there. They had hit the islands and tried to conquer the islands first, because the islands is a gateway to getting into the land.
Right. That's right. It's absolutely right. And Many of these foreigners, they engage in various forms of identity theft and fraud
Mm-hmm.
so that they can, you know, meet the immigration customs enforcement policies. And
Hey, you
so,
know what?
huh?
Home. I'm gonna just real 5 seconds, real quick. The policies. Think about your application to your jobs. The policies on the application. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. And the situation is when we see what Trump was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been going on for a long time. I did a presentation a few years back on the EB-5 immigration fraud. Are you aware that for a $500,000, people are selling EB-5 visas? They're offering this to people in their countries of origin, where you have these quote unquote wealthy families over there in places like Hindustan or wherever else in the world, right? When you look up EB-5 immigration visa fraud, you will see Africans is involved in this, Arabs is involved in this, people from Hindustan is involved in this, people from
Spaniards.
Europe involved in this. That entire world is involved. They are profiting. Like I said, $500,000 they're charging people from their own countries of origin. And some people make it, some people don't. There's a lot of theft. They steal from their own people.
Hell yeah.
And so my question is this: if these people are that ruthless to their own, how much more ruthless will they be when they arrive here with that type of resource, financial resources, resourcefulness, right? Gained through criminal activity. I mean, these are the dynamics of immigration that Biden isn't talking about a desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. It's the reason we've constantly been able to renew ourselves, to grow better and stronger as a corporation, and to meet new challenges.
Hey, bro, man, would you are I hope people seen him on his interview when he said that he's going to make sure that he bring a financial economy boost to he said we're going to bring a great economy boost to the black Americans by 1.4% and to the Hispanic neighborhood by 40%. Like you said 1.4% compared to 40% of trying to help the people with your ignorance, dude. I hope people caught that. I hope people listen to that. 1.4% he's planning on helping us compared to 40% he's going to help the Mexicans.
Whoa, 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 whoa! You got to remove the us from that equation. For
Right.
one, like I'm putting it like this, right?
Them. Them.
When
Put the
I hear
word
these
them
people,
there.
when I hear these people say black, first thing that I think about is these Moors,
Moors. Yep.
these descendants, these exiles from Europe centuries ago, right? I think about them. I don't think
Hmm.
about our American people,
Right.
even though they have blanketed our American people with this black identity, this artificial black identity. See what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Um, I'm saying this initially in this presentation here that basically they're doing away with the influence of those Moors. They're doing away with that. They're like, nah, you served your purpose for us. You served
Uh,
well, but it's over. So hold on, Noya has a comment here. She says, go back to when he told Al Sharpton and them that in 20 years they will not exist. They better get with the Asian and the Hispanics because that's who's going to have it. Yeah,
Real talk.
that's the yo. He see. You know, that's what I'm saying, right? You know, people need to have clarity in regards to what's being communicated here.
Yep.
All right. I mean, I just want to reread this again, right? A girl in our society, okay? Now this is Hindustan we're talking about. A girl in a Hindustan society is treated more as a liability in the sense that there is always the burden of marriage. Basically, it's a liability to take care of this girl because in their culture, they want to marry that girl off so that girl can be the responsibility of someone else.
Wow.
Families feel that they don't need to educate the girl child. They always prefer a male child because they believe that they are the liberators of their soul when they die. This goes into their belief system here.
That's the Vishnu.
I'm not familiar with that. What's Vishnu? What is that?
That the Vishnu, that belief, that deity that they be, it's a type of worship that they do with that deity with four arms. Um it was a dude slash females, the transgender god.
Shit.
You ain't never
Okay.
seen that transgender god?
No,
Even
I haven't. I just
listen,
haven't studied it. I just haven't
oh
studied
no,
it. I didn't
peep though. I
know it
know
meant all
people
of
in the
that.
back chat gonna know what I'm talking about too, because the logo for harp, it's the logo for harp.
Wow, interesting.
Like if you Googled it right now and put it up, you'll see what exact is made out. They made it out of like gold or copper or something, but it's a male female with four arms, and they doing a yoga stance. Matter of fact, yeah, pull that up real quick, bro. We need to show the crowd that. It's a Google Harps logo. H
Okay, give
A
me
A
one
R
moment.
P. Yeah.
Give me
We
one
need
moment
and
here.
this is attached to your whole build too, bro. It's perfect.
You said the harp logo.
Yeah. HAARP.
Okay, let me see if I can locate it. Harp logo.
And they are, and a lot of times they be painting that character blue or blue or greenish.
Yeah, nothing's coming up dealing with the harp logo. If you can, if you have that image, send it to me so I can share it. I can pull it up because I'm not seeing what you're describing here. But in regards to this Vishnu, let me look up Vishnu since you referenced that. I am familiar with that image that you're describing. I have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go.
Oh, you found it.
Yeah, I found Vishnu. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But think about it. These pale face is using that as their logo, and obviously it's the same worship that they use in their process too.
Well, see. The situation
Yep.
is via masonry, right? Some form, some sects, factions of these masons. They have what they call the Orientalism beliefs, where basically all of these deities and all of these foreign spiritual systems, they've combined it into their practices and rituals or what have you, right?
Right.
And so when we're talking about deities such as this, um what's this called here, a Yemen, a Yamana, what was it called? Yeah, Yalama, right? Let
Yalama,
me
yeah.
run a let me run a search on Yalama real quick. Let's see what Yalama's doing. They have
Let's
any
get this, man.
images?
Let's get this. Because also, like, explaining situations and showing images to back it up, it helps the crowd, the listeners and all that, visualize exactly the conversation too. That's why what you just showed was a good help for people to visualize Vishnu, this what they call them, a morphodite, man and woman with four arms, that these people worship. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that this is Vishnu was one of the main, supposed to be deities that created the yoga and practice of yoga, and people don't realize that that's a conjuring method of using your body and energy. Damn, they ain't kicked Tom out, man. Damn, they kicked Tony out. Tony, he's some bitch up, man. Mama Chief, you see what happens all the time, man, when we go in deep, man. Start finding some things. We gotta quiet one of them up. Let's get him out of there. Shit. Well, anyway, I continue building on, some of the things he was speaking on, as far as like, the immigration, man, and process of contracts and all of that stuff, man. How he's breaking it down is beautiful because like it's weird for these people to have their seeds decided upon. Okay, if it's a male, we gonna give the greatness to him, all the attention. If it's a girl, let's just sit her to the side until she's old enough and slut her out, sell her for a couple pebble stones of gold or some shit.
Yeah, hello.
You back?
Yeah, hey, yo, thank
Okay.
you for keeping it moving, yo. Cause I was using a hotspot on one of my phones and my phone died, so I had to
Oh,
connect. I had to connect with the other one real quick. I'm like, damn, what's wrong with the internet? So
I thought they booted you because we was going in on that Vishnu and the
oh
Lama
nah,
and all that.
no, my battery died on my other
Oh,
phone real quick. Let me plug up this other one too. Yeah, so we're approaching 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna try to yeah, I'm just going to try to keep this. I'm going to conclude at like
we'll
the
go into
3 hour
three.
mark.
We'll go three.
Yeah, we'll
Go to
go three.
positive number three. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just go ahead and make sure this device is working. Yo, my phone died on 23%, man. These devices is crazy.
Hey, that's a good thing. 23.
Yeah, I don't know. Not I'm in the middle of a presentation.
Hey,
Ain't no
cause
good
look,
for me.
hey, no. The why I said that is because you came back in at 2 hours and 23
Mhm.
minutes. You came back
Got
in
you.
at 23 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So where's this Yalama at?
Yeah. Let's get
Yalama. Let's see what's up with Yalama. Let me get the screen share back up. See, it's important for us to know, to be aware of what these people believe in because they're coming here. Should we not be aware of what they believe in?
hmm
Okay, so all right, so here it is right here.
Oh man, that look like one of them motherfucking goddamn cousins. Vishnu's fucking sister or some shit.
Well, apparently, how the story goes over here, according to this story. Let's go back up real quick. Yalama, her son. This was a woman, apparently.
Mm.
Her son was ordered to chop her head off by her husband after he caught her spying on two people getting frisky by a lake.
Ooh.
So I read a more detailed story. Let me see if I can locate that one.
That's pretty much
Um,
saying son killed her because she was fornicating watching them fuck.
yeah, pretty much. Let me see here. See, I don't have that past that previous article I pulled up. Oh man, I don't even know which one it is. Yeah, I'm gonna have to show this at another time here. But um, basically the situation is the fact one of the yeah yeah one of the son who was initially ordered to kill the mother, to behead the mother, he didn't do it, but one of the
Mm.
other sons did it. Feel free to look up the story if you're interested in knowing. But as we see here, right? Look, there's this another article here. This is from the deaconherald.com. This article's dated November 25th, 2018. For servants of God, no end to their misery. Okay? No end to their misery. Looky here. It says Urava in Uchangi Durga shows the Mutu, a Devadasi symbol, Kinchama, a Devadasi turned crusader, in Hera Panahali, Manjula, a young Devadasi. Yo, look. So she's a Devadasi. He's a Devadasi,
Wow.
okay?
Wow.
And see, look at this. A Devadasi performs a ritual at the temple. And as we was reading a moment ago, right? You know, what's going on here is the rituals of Yalama and recruiting new young Devadasi girls. They're being recruited for prostitution.
Wow. So I
And there's a
went back.
ritual.
So I wouldn't doubt that goddess that you pulled up would be related in a deity realm to that Vishnu character, because the Vishnu character was of male power and fertility or some shit, but he was also a morphodite, male and female.
Hmm. And also keep in mind, people there, it is common for them to be born with abnormalities.
Hmm.
You can look into that as well. I don't know what their genetic composition is. I haven't done the research into that, but that information is easily accessible of the common genetic and just physical abnormalities of them. And once again, I will direct people to look up the legal definition of human, where it says refer to monster, where it says
Hmm.
having human, having man-like features.
Wood mountain monster.
You know what I'm saying? So look, we see here there is a quote unquote melanated Yalama. You got the blue complexion Yalama. You have this yellowish complexion Yalama. We got this image here. I mean, yo, that woman looks crazy, yo. What the? You see this? Yo,
Look into my eyes.
yo,
Look
shut
at me. Doesn't look like she's saying, "Look at me."
And yo, so hold on. Is she a recruiter?
Hell yeah.
Is she a recruiter doing these rituals to get new young Devadasi girls to get new child prostitutes? Yo, you serious?
Hey, you know that you can actually put somebody in the trance with their eyes too, right?
Man,
That's
I
really
don't. Yeah, I ain't doing all of that with them. I'll see through
no,
the
no. That's
bullshit.
look how. But look, if you went back to her picture, her eyes had that look that she's trying to put you in a trance. So a
But
woman,
people, but see, hold on. We're talking about people that are enslaved over there. So they're working 15-hour days. So we're dealing with dealing with sleep deprivation. One, right? You got sleep deprivation. Then you factor in
hunger,
um yeah, hunger. You factor in hunger as well.
hunger. Yeah,
And I mean, yo, those are the perfect conditions for hypnosis.
yeah, yeah.
Those are the
Weak.
conditions for
Yep,
hypnosis. Bottom
yep.
line,
Your soul weak as hell.
you're weak.
Yep.
You're mentally exhausted, right?
Right, right.
You're physically exhausted due to not being able to eat, right? And
Hmm.
then you factor in the fact, um,
You're going to be illusional. You're going to be delusional. You're going to be seeing things that's not there due to your soul weakness and your body weakness. Hey, fatigue sometimes can have you delusional too.
that's right, hallucinating.
Yeah, hallucinating. That's what I'm trying to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is they this is a system. They know what they're doing, and so you're talking about starving people who are being sold because once again, the girl child in our society is treated as a liability due to the burden of marriage. They want to marry off these girls early so that they don't have to take care of them.
Right. Keep the boys to work.
And so it says, look here, right? So post which the girl child will be taken over by one of the landlords. The landlord assures some kind of regular income to the family. This religious ritual has now just become a medium or a mere justification for poorer families to pimp out their daughters. This is what these people believe in. This is what these people are doing nothing to combat.
Yeah.
But they want to import people that uphold these beliefs, these rituals, these recruitments. They profit off of this. They want to import them to America in addition to their slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Noya says here, and they show all of these so-called beautiful women doing rituals, and they are nothing but straight shit whores that they are parading around as beauty.
That's true.
Yo, what would happen if you take the makeup off?
You looking weird as hell. And makeup was used in the ancient times as temptation, man. That's what
Also,
makeup was. Yeah,
also,
makeup was known as temptation, seduction.
True indeed, but
Seducing.
also it is of that one prostitution culture, but also the cross dressing. You
Mm-hmm.
had those males that
Yep.
would put on makeup. These were performers slash prostitutes. Like
Hey man.
if you do the research, hold on, let me just say this.
Go ahead. Go
If you
ahead.
do
Go
the
ahead.
research,
Ooh.
if you all was to take some time to look up Devadasi, right, you will see that they have male prostitutes, and these are street performers. So you're talking about male and female prostitutes from young ages that are performers, and people will pay them for that those activities.
Man, hey, let me ride on let me ride in the car with you real quick on that one, man. I want to just let people know if you go back and look at most of the Asian movies from the beginning until like the late 70s and 80s, all the actors as females in those movies and Asian movies was males. Painted face looking like a woman.
God
All of them.
damn. God
All of
damn.
the movies they use males through all of their movies. The Asians did. So this is one thing the Japanese and Chinese ain't gonna pretty much say, but you can actually go back and look at the old movies. All of the acting parts, you know what I'm saying, up into the 80s and 70s, man, was male. That's why they painted their face all white and then had a look to it.
Yeah, it's outrageous. Now,
It was a mask.
looky here. Many of these Devadasis are now prone to a lot of sexually transmitted diseases and have nobody in the community to take care of them. Let me tell you, if you look at the HIV, the AIDS rates over there in Hindustan, aka India, you'll see some horrible shit over there.
Hmm.
You'll see some very horrible shit. Let me try to locate another article. Yeah, I'm just gonna type in boys, Devadasi boys. All right.
And man, if it
Oh.
pop up queer, man, you have to get off of it, man, because I might just,
Well, I mean, bottom line, we're talking about
I'm just fuck with you, man.
Mel. Oh, word. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, absolutely. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. This is one of the articles I showed the other day. Oh man,
Karnataka. Karnataka.
Karnataka, Karnataka. I just read that a moment ago. Yep. And
Hmm.
so they have thousands of temples in Hindustan. Thousands. I mean, thousands of temples. Okay, so here, these are Devadasis. You have an older Devadasi. Look at this woman here. And this is a younger person here.
Kid.
Okay. Let's scroll
Get,
down a little
getting it
bit.
ready already. 12, 13 years old. Fucked up.
These are
Yeah,
all
go right
Devadasis
there.
here. We're talking about generations. Six from 6th century AD forward. That's what I'm saying. We have our own unresolved issues here throughout the Americas. We don't need these issues here.
Nah, man.
We don't need this. And then on top of that, they want to come here, get wealthy here, so they can perpetuate these cycles of abuse and corruption. You
Not
serious?
only that, they send their money back there.
Look, it's an look. Okay, so hold on. As part of the ritual, a ceremony is organized in which girls are dressed as brides, and once it is over, their clothes are removed by 5 boys. It is an oppressive practice where women and young girls are regarded as temple property and fake sexual exploitation. Okay.
Mm. Look at seduction on the left. Hold on. She got a motherfucking Moor crown on her motherfucking head. Look, the half moon and star.
No, I don't. I can't identify exactly what that is. It does have the appearance of a star, but
That's a half moon, B.
Oh, okay. Now let me
That's a
see
half
here.
moon. No, crescent.
Let's look up. So we're on the website yourstory.com. This is from 2017, November 2017. Devadasi's children. Okay. Now I'm just
Damn.
going to run a search on the website for Devadasi. They give you the option to select the tab. Um, let me see here, because I'm trying to find the article I showed the other day. Okay, here we go. I think this is the one here I want to pull up. Yep, this is the one. This is the one I showed the other day here. Okay, so Devadasi or Deva Radiyar means servant of God. These women were dedicated to God and were considered given in marriage to God, meaning that they could not therefore, hold on, that they could therefore not marry any mortal. So the situation is this, right? When people say God, who are you referring to? Because as we see, these foreigners, they have various type of gods. They have a Yalama. This is a goddess here.
Yep.
Okay. Goddess of child prostitution, right? Who was beheaded by one of her sons because she watched she observed people engaged in intimacy by a lake over there in Hindustan somewhere centuries ago. You have this Vishnu. I don't know much about Vishnu, but yo, the situation is this: we got to be aware of what they're seeking to bring here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look. They learn music and dance, and as many as 64 types of arts. 64 types of arts. These be prostitution arts.
Sex moves.
I mean, is this related to Karma Sutra
I
that
was
they that
just
they
thinking that.
that they've been promoting? Like, I never gotten the Karma Sutra, but I'm saying though, right? I mean, what's this about for real? I mean, what is this really about?
They standing in this symbolism.
Um, looking for something here. Okay. Particularly in southern parts of quote unquote India during the reigns of the Cholas, Chelas, and the Pandyas. They were well treated and respected and held a high social status. We already read all about that. Um, Here we go. At present, Devadasis are nothing more than sex slaves or child prostitutes who are dedicated to temples. We read about that. Almost all of them are Dalits. A Dalit is basically the very, like it says here, underprivileged caste in Hindustan, aka India. Okay. And look, with a majority belonging to the Madiga and Valmika caste, two of the most underprivileged. The caste systems these foreigners have is important to be aware of because they have them.
They exist.
They exist, absolutely. They exist. These are, once you're in that caste, you cannot get out of it.
That census they did last year, the voting, that was a whole nother cast. Like doing a voting application, that's caste system.
Hmm. It
They're
says
getting
two of the most underprivileged caste in their country.
ooh,
Let's scroll down some more. A lot of these families aren't even allowed to enter or stay in the villages. They are ostracized because of their caste. Hence, inevitably, all of them are either illiterate or have received very little education with no means for stable income. We're talking
mm,
about entire populations. The only jobs they can get are those of street cleaners and sewage collectors. They don't
That's why
even
the
have
cab drivers here.
they don't even have paved streets over there. Parents are therefore forced to act as pardon me. Parents are therefore forced to act as pimps for their daughters in the hope of finding a means of survival. I mean, look, this shit is horrible, man.
She looking like she don't even want to go through with it. Like, get me out of here.
Yo, I was going to show a video on that website, hoodsite.com, and the other sites. You can see you have females in these villages over there in Hindustan literally setting themselves on fire in these villages, burn themselves alive. Look, it's happening to this day. To
Man.
this day, it is happening. Now, look, while the girl is inside gratifying the sexual needs of men in order to earn money, look,
Wow.
it is very common for the entire family to wait outside. I mean, this is due to the economic and financial oppression over there. This is corruption. And
That's crazy.
when people heard Trump saying what he was saying a few years back about these piece of shit countries, right? He wasn't lying.
Nope. They
This
shit
is
countries.
filthy.
Yeah. Shit
This is
countries. You
filthy.
call them shit country.
And they don't do anything about the shit. They have the resources to do something.
And
Now
the
look,
money. Shit.
look. These are male Devadasis here. These are
Faggots.
male Devadasis. Yeah.
They proud of it too. Weirdo.
They've been conditioned. You have this, it's called catamite. Catamite is a system of holding a boy for sexual purposes. Catamite, this is a very old term. So when we hear things about Nambla, right? And all these different organizations, these foreign organizations, associations, and all of that, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
what it goes into.
Right.
They're normalizing unnatural behavior,
But you
and
know
it's
what?
profitable because they sell these children. They've been doing it forever.
They trying to influence that through the eras of American people too, man. You're right. They trying to get that here.
Yeah, and they're working to condition our people, our American people, to accept these
That
behaviors.
yeah. Accept that bullshit. It's
And
okay.
see,
No, it
and
ain't
see,
motherfucker.
and see, the situation is this, right? See, you have to I'm gonna have to locate this other article, right, that I showed previously. Um, because as we see here, you have these male Devadasis that are boys. They like from the time like from their youth, under puberty, as we was reading, before puberty, boys are being sold as well as girls, right? They're not going into detail about the boys in this particular article. But there are articles about all of this filth that's taking place actively to this day. What this article goes into is how there are what is it? There are organizations over there, whereas they're working to get social security over there for these Devadasis.
Man, that's
Because
crazy though. That right there, that video.
yeah,
Prostitutes of
let's
God.
let's, let's
What
see
the
what's up with
hell?
the yep. Let's see what's up with the video. Let's see what's
Let's
up
check
with
it
it.
out. Let's go.
Well, it's 28 minutes long, so we ain't gonna watch it all.
First thing that strikes you when you come to
Mute.
Kensington is a sense of extreme contrast, while some people are still shitting inside a railway line.
Okay, you hear it? Hey Zo, what the hell?
Yeah, you might have to turn it up a little bit.
Okay, let me go back.
I
Where's
was
it
on
at?
mute. I was on mute, so it wouldn't hear the background sound.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, this is as loud as it goes, unfortunately. Let me see if I can turn up my computer. Yeah, this is as loud as it goes. Let me know if it is too low. Oh yeah, and yeah, what no you're saying here. Well, China or Japan ate their girls for years. Yeah, that's there's a lot of deprived conditions in these countries. You know what I'm saying? That our American people are not being informed of.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a lot of horror stories from these regions of the world. Um, Cannibalism is common in many of these places. You know what I'm saying? And it's due to the extreme poverty there.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme poverty. I'm talking about extreme, and it's a system of impoverishing people.
That title Cambodia comes from cannibalism.
God damn, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So let's continue with the video real quick.
Lines and eating banana leaves. Other people are drinking frappuccinos and wearing Gucci sunglasses. along with this feeling of progress and moving forward, there's still this undercurrent of tradition and religion and superstition and an even more deeply ingrained caste system. I didn't realise quite how sharp these contrasts between new and old India were until I came here last year to research an article about sex trafficking. On my very first day here, I met a group of
Yo, that said holy whore, yo. You see that?
Right, right.
Yo, hold on. Let me run that back, yo. That's crazy.
an even more deeply ingrained caste system.
Yo.
Realise quite how sharp the contrast between new and old India were until I came here last year to research an article about sex trafficking. On my very first day,
Yo.
Holy horror story.
Yo. Yo, look. It says there is about selling young girls into a lifetime of prostitution for as little as 6 rupees, yo. But it says
Wow.
pounds. 6 pounds.
Wow.
Yo, oh. If you and then see, let me share this to you also, right? On YouTube, you can find current videos, right? Of Africans, various breeds of Africans, right? Tricking African females, deceiving African females into going to places like Hindustan, right? In pursuit of employment, modeling, acting careers, or what have you, and they are forced into prostitution. It's happening right now. You can find these videos on YouTube. Absolutely disgusting behavior. And that's what I'm saying. We need to be aware of who is being embedded in our American communities.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be aware. Because when we start seeing these unnatural behaviors and trends, not just limited to the media. The media is just the projections of certain behavior. But when we have people embedded in our communities that come from these cultures and they're interacting with our daughters and sons, that creates a problem.
Of course, yeah.
That creates a whole problem. And we cannot afford to be negligent about all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a Jean Delane here. She says these foreign countries, the eastern side of the hemisphere, treat their women and girls with no respect. Absolutely.
At all.
No respect at all. Let's continue though. She met a group of temple prostitutes, yo. Like, yo. I never watched this video, so like please pardon me, right? But I could not imagine meeting religious prostitutes, yo.
They call themselves holy whores.
I could not imagine that, yo. That's
my holy whore. Like you a holy whore. But I try to tell people that word holy is not complete. So
what you mean? What you mean about holy not being complete?
Like if you got some holy jeans, them motherfuckers ain't solid. You got a holy shirt, that bitch ain't solid. It got holes in it.
Word, I'm with you.
Yeah. So a holy whore mind ain't complete.
Word, this is crazy, man.
Girls are dedicated to goddess, and for the rest of their lives they will become sex slaves of the temple. The name of that system is Devadasi.
Just imagine your great grandmother still trying to sell some booty.
Yeah, what you say?
Just imagine your great grandmother still trying to sell some booty. You see all them old ladies lined up, man?
Yeah, this is crazy. I'm not sure what Noya is referring to. Hey, Ken folks, who the hell are you talking to? I don't know what that's about there. Ken folks, this nigga racist and a clown. Oh, Ken folks, hey, just go ahead and block him. I ain't even see the comment. Go ahead and block him. Get him out of here. I ain't got time for that nonsense.
Ooh, I need to see it.
Yeah, get this weirdo out of here. Fuck out of here.
Who's Facebook guy?
No. This is in a YouTube chat. Somebody by the name of Ken folks. saying some silly shit. Fuck you. How about that, kin folks? Fuck you.
You ain't my kin, folks.
You ain't my kin folk. Fuck out of here. Let's continue with the video.
Let's go. Got work to do.
Been on 2 hours, man. Been over 2 hours, about to be 3 hours, and now we got a clown pop up.
Darcy eating limited, except we have cockroaches sleeping onto our bed, and there's no one serving sweet lime. Hello. So in the beginning, being a Devadasi had nothing to do with prostitution. In medieval India, they were glamorous temple dancers and held high social status. They performed sacred religious rituals and danced for royalty in the name of a goddess called Yelama. Over the centuries, the link between the Devadasis and their temples gradually diminished, along with their social status. They became the paid mistresses of priests, then kings, and later rich landowners. In the 19th century, Western missionaries tried to abolish the tradition, calling it grotesque and immoral, driving the Devadasis underground. Today, Devadasis are no different to common street hookers, servicing truck drivers and bored businessmen. Even though the practice has been illegal for over 20 years, up to 3,000 girls are still being secretly dedicated every year.
Oh, that sounds good right
They
there.
travel to the border town of Sang.
Yo, what's up?
No, I said that sounds good where it's at right there, that volume.
Hey, man, this is outrageous. Oh, yeah.
Which straddles the two southern Indian states of Karnataka and Maharashtra. Its red light district is home to hundreds of Devadasi sex workers, and that afternoon we were invited there by Anita, one of its most successful brothel owners. She's a member of an NGO called Sangram, which fights to empower local sex workers. Communication was pretty painful, as our interpreter Somshaker was having some trouble with his English.
Look at his fruity ass.
Houses next door. This whole street is also sex workers, like Anita. Yes. So all the neighborhood.
God, yo, I'm gonna stop right there, man. Yo, we about at 3 hours. Yo, it's on YouTube, as you see. It's a Vice documentary, Prostitutes of God. Look it up. Yeah, 3 minutes until we're at 3 hours. But as you see, for clarity and perspective and all of the organized confusion and orchestrated confusion, which is being devoted to our people via foreign propaganda and all of that, this is the situation here. This is real life.
They're alive.
This is real life for these people. And you know, with Biden talking about what's this again? A desire to claim their own piece of the American dream. Yo, bottom line, I'm gonna put it like this, right? Hey, Zo, I've never seen this in my life, and I don't ever want to see this.
No.
A community of prostitutes in America.
Voluntarily by their parents.
I don't want to see that in America. Not here in North America, anywhere in America. We know that this is going on down there in places like Brazil. There's some horror stories out of Central and South America.
Yeah.
Straight horror stories. You can do your research. Anyone interested in knowing, the information's available. There's very graphic video footage of what's going on in the Americas. And this is why we have our Aboriginal, indigenous issues. We look through these old texts. You have a book titled Delectable Negro. Hey, Brandon Rod, you said you're going to purchase the book. I would encourage you to purchase the book on the a4truth.com website. Also, shop-a4truth.com is cheaper than what it is on Amazon. Delivery time production and delivery time is about 3 weeks. But you know, you will definitely get your book. And it's cheaper it's 15% discounted price on the A4 Truth website. But definitely, I appreciate your presence, and you will enjoy the book. The book does not go into this particular subject matter here. But you know, it's a legal chronology. The Americas are basically um so many different events that have taken place from 1492 going into 1968, and a lot of these issues are ongoing. Basically just giving a background so that we could be aware of these foreigners' intent to claim their own piece of the American dream, right? Their American dream is our American nightmare.
Right.
This is a whole nightmare right here. Our daughters and sons don't need to be interacting with these daughters and sons and the mothers and fathers of people who have a culture of religious. This is an entire religious system with rituals, etc., for child prostitution. I mean, yo, this is outrageous here.
Right.
This is unacceptable. Bottom line. But yeah, we get the 3 hour mark. Hey, Zoe, want to say anything in conclusion?
Yo, man, shout out to everybody, you know what I'm saying, that came out, you know what I'm saying, and for the people to listen in the future, you know what I'm saying, just sharing information, basically trying to stay on the right path and get our people back to the mental strength, you know what I'm saying? So, just, I appreciate, you invite me on the panel, you know what I'm saying, to, share my comments as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, the platform is definitely open to intelligent dialogue, information sharing. It's all about awareness with this platform. I'm not interested in people's beliefs, you know what I'm saying? Because here in America, you know what I'm saying, we have our own beliefs. We have our own deities. Our deities are natural. We don't have deities in America for goddamn child prostitution.
No,
We don't devalue our daughters and sons. We don't view our daughters as liabilities in America.
that's right.
And these are issues that is being projected,
Perpetuated.
promoted, perpetuated onto our youth right now. I mean, this situation. I seen seen an article this past week. Someone had posted this where it's talking about you had this female Cardi B, this entertainer, or what have you, where she's talking about she posted saying WAP at the inauguration, but she couldn't make it. Yo, our daughters and sons do not need to be subjected to this at all. We have a duty, we have responsibility to our people. We need to have it in mind that, we deserve better. Our ancestors established better. This was an entire paradise when the foreigners arrived here. To this day, America remains a paradise to these foreigners coming from these regions of the world. It remains a paradise.
Because they actually see green. They actually see real colors. And like in their land, there's no colors.
You could come to America and literally get away with all the criminal activity. And that's what's been going on.
Yeah.
They come here to perpetuate their criminal conduct, which is of their customs and culture. It's of their customs and culture to engage in rape, to engage in theft and robbery and murder, cannibalism, etc. This is of their culture. And we need to be aware of these things so that we can make preparations to prevent that from happening here. So in conclusion, much appreciation to our American people. See you on the next presentation. We got some great presentations coming up. I want to have some discussions with some people, including you, Zoe, about some of these historical texts, dealing with historical events that are still present to this day. So definitely look forward to seeing you all next time. You have a great day. Stay healthy. Stay strong. You know what I mean? Much appreciation to our American people. Y'all be good.
Peace and bliss.